Good afternoon, my Facebook friends, YouTube friends, Instagram friends. My name is Daisy Daniel. I'm a personal resilience life coach coming to you every Monday and Thursday at 12 o'clock to do an impromptu read and reflection from the book, The Language of Letting Go. The reason I chose 12 o'clock is because I figured some of you could join me for lunch. I was also thinking about the homeschoolers. I remember when I was homeschooling my 3 children, did that for 13 years, and how, my life revolved around my children and just homeschooling, and I would stop to eat and that was it. And then about 4 o'clock I would end my homeschooling day and then work some more. And I would have really enjoyed a little break, a time for me, a time for personal development at around 12 o'clock when I was having my lunch. So that is why I'm doing it at 12 o'clock every Monday and Thursday. Those of you that are available, please come and join me. I've been enjoying this time as I do the reflection. And I wanted it to be a casual time, no editing of the video, just an authentic response to the words on the page. I am now only reading the title beforehand, and that is just to kind of advertise it. Sometimes people, if they don't know what the title is, they don't always join in because they don't really know what to expect. So I am only reading the title ahead of time, and it's a good one today. All right, so let's get started. The one I did last week, if you didn't get to see it yet, it was called Our Higher Power, and that was also a very good reflection. The one today is entitled Freedom from Self-Seeking. Here we go. Please feel free. Please free my thinking of self-will, self-seeking, dishonesty, and wrong motives. Let me repeat that. Please free my thinking of self-will, self-seeking, dishonesty, and wrong motives. And that is taken from the book Alcoholics Anonymous. I have not read that book, but 2 reflections back, I did go over the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Very good. Recently, I've been reading the 13 steps for adult children of alcoholics, and that was also very, very good to read. So if you haven't read that, and you know someone who's an adult child of an alcoholic parent, I highly recommend it. So it started out with a quote. Here we go. I am on page 119. There is a difference between owning our power to take care of ourselves as part of God's will for our life and self-will. All right, what I do is I underline the parts that are important and then I'll go back to it. There is a difference between self-care and self-seeking, and our behaviors are not as much subject to criticism as are the motives underlying them. There is a harmonic, gentle, timely feeling to owning our power, to self-care, and to acts with healthy motives that are not present in self-will and self-seeking. Okay. We will learn to discern, but we will not always know the difference. Sometimes we will feel guilty and anxious with no need. We may be surprised at the loving way God wants us to treat ourselves. Okay. We can trust that self-care is always appropriate. We want to be free of self-will and self-seeking, but we are always free to take care of ourselves. All right, short and sweet today. I'm going to go ahead and read the prayer. She always does a little reflection and then a little prayer below the reflection. God, please guide my motives today and keep me on your path. Help me love myself and others too. Help me understand that more often than not, those 2 ideas are connected. Help me understand that more often than not, those 2 ideas are connected. All right, this is good. You know, there's a lot floating around now, social media, self-love, self-care, self. And, I am of the Christian faith, and I think a lot of people get alarmed, especially Christians, when they hear the word self, because there are, certain beliefs they have that it's wrong to put attention on yourself or take care of yourself. And it's very erroneous, because the golden rule is love others, do unto others as you would do unto yourself, right? So God doesn't expect us to love others and do kind things to others, thinking that we're doing the opposite to ourselves. His expectation is we are going to do those things for others as we do for ourselves. So it's an expectation that we should be taking care of ourselves, however that looks like. Whether people call it self-seeking or self-indulgence or preoccupation with yourself, whatever spin they put on it, the fact is, God tells us to take care of ourselves and to love ourselves. Okay? Ooh, it is hot out here today. It's a beautiful day, though. So let's go back, and I'm going to read some of the sections I underlined, and then we'll talk about this a little more. Again, the title of this reflection was Freedom from Self-Seeking. So she goes on to say, and this is a Melody Beattie from the book The Language of Letting Go, there is a difference between owning our power to take care of ourselves as part of God's will for our life and self-will. All right, so God has a plan for all of us, and we don't always know exactly how that plan is going to play out, what exactly we're supposed to do. We trust in His guidance and we do our part, but it's not always written out, in plain view for us to totally comprehend. But what she's saying is, there's a power to take care of ourselves is different than self-will. I think self-will is when we know God wants us to do something and we intentionally want our way, we want to do it our way, we want our will, and we have in mind what it is we should be doing. And even when God closes the door, we continue to pound that door down and want that. And I think it's very wise to stop and think about the difference between you taking care of yourself and wanting your self-will. There's a verse in the Bible that says there is safety in a multitude of counselors. It's in Proverbs, I believe. And, if you are confused about God's will for your life, it has always helped me in the past when I have sought out either a life coach or a therapist to help me with different areas where I might get confused. And then, of course, people you trust that they have your good intentions in mind. Be open to what they share, because a lot of times we have blind spots that other people can see, but we can't see. And so, there's a fine line between taking care of ourselves as part of God's will for our life, like she said, and self-will. Then over here, I underlined there's a difference between self-care and self-seeking. So that's similar to what we just talked about. The main thing is what the underlying motives are, okay? So ask yourself, something that you feel God really wants you to do, ask yourself, what's the motive behind this? So we're talking about self-care. So let's just say, we know that, the surgery business is a huge business, especially among women, getting all kind of different surgeries to look better, okay? You might look at that as self-care, but ask yourself, what's the motive? If the motive is to be more attractive to the opposite sex because you don't feel good about the way you look, the way God made you, you should really think about that. Is that really taking care of yourself, self-care? Is that what God would really have you do? Or is it more self-seeking? You want to present a certain image. You want to impress certain people. That's just an example. There are many examples that you could think about, but always ask yourself, what's my motive behind this? And there's another verse in the Bible that says to seek peace. And I think we have the responsibility to seek peace with people. If you're in relationships that are very constantly just toxic, I think it's a good idea to seek peace. However that looks like for you, but seek peace for both of you, because that just prolongs the toxic stuff that you don't want. And so that's part of self-care. So when you're thinking about self-care, you have to think about physically, how you take care of yourself, mentally, how you take care of yourself, emotionally, spiritually. You have to bring all the areas in your life that have to do with self-care into the picture. And then you have to ask yourself, am I self-seeking? Am I doing this for selfish reasons? Or am I doing this to glorify God and be a role model? You have to ask yourself those questions. Then she goes on to say, there is a harmonic, gentle, timely feeling to owning our power, to self-care, and to acts with healthy motives. All right, let's stop and think about that for a minute. Harmonic. When something's in harmony, something is flowing. Things flow. If you're in a relationship where things are constantly just rubbing against you, you're constantly on edge, you're constantly upset, angry, that's not harmonic, all right? So when you're taking care of yourself, think about this. The healthy motives, when you have healthy motives, it's going to be harmonic, it's going to be gentle, and it's a timely feeling to owning our power and to self-care and to acts, what it is we end up doing. So think about those things. Think about those areas. And, airplane going by. Are we trying too hard? Are we trying too hard with people? Are we trying too hard to really self-care? And, they're not interested in your self-care. They're not interested in your life. As a matter of fact, some people might even put you down for having self-care. Think about those things. If there's agitation, a lot of stress, a lot of just work involved with just being a human being that takes care of yourself, there's something wrong there that you have to ask yourself. There's something not right. All right, so we know that when you have healthy motives, you're going to take care of yourself in a harmonic way, gentle way, timely. You're going to have a timely feeling to owning your power and to self-care. All right? Those things are not present when you are concerned about your self-will and self-seeking. Then she goes on to say, sometimes we will feel guilty and anxious with no need. That's especially true in the Christian realm, because suffering is seen as glorifying God. Suffer in your marriage, suffer in your relationship, suffer. And yes, God does talk about suffering, but I don't think he means toxic, abusive, dysfunctional, chronically dysfunctional problems that never get solved. I don't think that's what God wants you to live in 24/7. I think those things come into our lives and we try to fix them, and either people want to fix them or they don't. But your job is to fix yourself, right? And remember, this book has to do with codependency issues. So people who are codependent don't take care of themselves. And that's why she's talking this way, because that is like the last thing on their mind. They take care of everyone else to their expense. And so that's not good. God gave us a brain, and he gave us a body to take care of, emotions to take care of, and to speak to people in love and in truth. Then she goes on to say, and you shouldn't feel guilty about it, all right, which is what we just read. Says, we may be surprised at the loving way God wants us to treat ourselves. Yes, this is something I'm learning to do. I didn't do it for a very long time. You know, I mentioned homeschooling at the beginning of this video. A lot of homeschool moms put themselves last. Not just homeschool moms, just moms in general that are home with their kids. They, you know, they have to ask for permission to go to the mall or to spend a little money here or to do this or to do that. And that's not a partnership, okay? So learn to take care of yourself and don't feel guilty about it. Learn to take initiative, use the brain God gave you, do things, go out, buy stuff that you need to buy without having to ask for permission. You know, of course, if it's a big purchase, you might want to run it by, you know, the person you live with. But, you know, we have to learn to start taking care of ourselves. Go out for a massage once in a while. Go and get your nails done once in a while. You know, I never really did that a whole lot. And that's one of the regrets I have. You know, I wish I would have done that more in the past. I'm growing out my gray hair now, but it's because I want to, you know. But I never spent a lot of money, you know, going to the beauty salon, getting I've never gotten highlights. Never. So anyway, let's keep going. Don't do what I did. Learn from my mistakes. Then it says here, we are always free to take care of ourselves. All right. So if we're codependent and we put others constantly, their needs before taking care of ourselves, and we're constantly trying to change people and mold them into the person we want to be, and then we get mad because we're neglected, you know, we gain 100 pounds, we get sick, and you can't really blame other people for those things because it's your job to take care of yourself and your mind and your heart and your body. And if people don't agree with what you do, well, you know, you got to agree to disagree, because you have to do what's right for you, and you're going to stand before God one day and give account. So it's up to you to make those decisions. And then here in her prayer, she asked God to help her love herself and others too. It's a combination. So, you know, we know about narcissism and people that are self-consumed with themselves. They don't have the ability or the compassion to care about other people. And, you know, God wants us to have both. He wants us to be concerned about ourselves, but also about others. And then she ends it by saying, help me understand that more often than not, those two ideas are connected. The two ideas are that we're supposed to love ourselves and then love others as well. The golden rule, which is beautiful, right? All right, that was short and sweet. I loved it. I'm going to open it up in case there are any comments, and we could talk a little bit more about it. No comments today. All right. If you have not seen the other videos, I have them on my website. My website is www.mymomentlc.com. All these lessons are a very nice way to just relax, hear them, and then take inventory of your life. Make the changes you need to make. This is personal development. And I am a life coach. If you would like to connect with me in any way, please go to my website and reach out via email. And I do complimentary one-time session and to see exactly what I do and if I could help you in the areas that you need help with. I hope you have a great day. It's a beautiful day. Go out there, enjoy it, go for a walk. I am going to probably change into my gym clothes and either rollerblade at this park or walk. It's just a gorgeous day. And I hope you have a wonderful day too. God bless you, and I will see you on Thursday. Invite your friends. See you then. Bye.